And we are 12 lessons into the book of Philippians. We're in chapter 4. But flipping the page, and it's a great. So I told you we're kind of more devotionalizing this thing. That doesn't mean we're not serious with the truth. It just means that we're trying to see it unfold for us, not from a didactic, normal way of doing things, because this letter is a little more personal. It's not so much of a teaching letter. Um, and so we just tend to need to see it that way. And man, I was most encouraged as I began to study this last week and just kind of deep dive into it. I titled this "Finding Rhythm and Balance in Everything," and because this is really what he's kind of talking about in the beginning of this chapter, and you'll see it as it unfolds. But I just want us to think in terms of rhythm and harmony and what that looks like, right? Man, it was the same couple that we had New Year's Eve with. Man, they started dancing years ago. I don't remember how long ago that was, but man, they were trying to get me and Tam to go with them dance. I'm like, you do not want to see that. It's ugly, and it was just not happening. I'm your typical white boy when it comes to dancing, and this is just not a pretty thing. But they were insistent that we did. We were out one night, I remember, and they said, "Well, just come watch." I'm like, "Man, I feel like I'm getting a heavy sales pitch." So I said, "Well, where are we going?" They said, "We're going to the VFW," and I'm like, "The VFW?" I mean, I'm like, all I picture is a bunch of old men sitting around smoking. I didn't know what happened behind those doors, but I thought that is just weird. We're going to the VFW, and so we get in there and filled with old people. And then you start talking to them, and you realize, well, hey, they're the same age as we are, but they looked a lot older. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. And they were all sitting at these tables, and the music's starting and everything, and they're putting their dancing shoes on. Now, I didn't really know that was a thing. I mean, I hear people talk about put your dancing shoes, but I'm like, it really is a thing. They're all changing shoes. I'm like, you're just dancing, man. We're not playing football. There's no. I mean, you don't need cleats, but they had them, and man, they got out on that dance floor. Now we didn't, because we're just not those people. But I sat there like a good man, just trying to honor my friends, and I watched people go out on that dance floor, and they can like really dance. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, like the real stuff. And I'm like, now I can do this, or you know, we can do all that stuff, right? But that stuff was like twirling and dipping and all that. I'm like, you guys are like, wow. And I realize then that I am far from harmony and far from rhythm when it comes to that. But I do love it all. I'm not dancing, but I do love harmony and I do love like rhythm, right? What's the old Asian feng shui, right? I like interior design. I like harmony. I love messing with furniture and the way it lays out. I do it at work. I set up displays. I love that whole thing about doing that. There's something that feels good about just harmony, right? Rhythm in life. And so I do that in work-life balance. Right now, I'm in the middle of looking at 7 areas of life. We've talked about this a lot here, but there's 7 areas that I want to strive to be balanced in because it creates a harmony, right? So I want to increase my goals in the area of faith, my family, my friends, right? I want to be better at all of those. I want to set some goals in those areas. The field, that area where I work, I want to set some goals in that area too, and have set goals in all of these things. And then in the area of fitness, the older you get, the more fit you need to be. I want to die healthy, right? If that makes sense. And so, I'm looking at a lot of fitness things, and then finance, right? At least I want to die like, going out with my own money, not having to rely on somebody else. And so I want financial things. And then I just want fun. I think that's important in life, that we have fun. And so those 7 areas I kind of look at over the course of the year and then really drill down in this week and go, okay, what are those things that I'm going to do? And so those are the things that I think we all want. We all want that, right? But I've realized that little things can get us out of harmony in a hurry, right? I mean, just it can just happen just like that. This week we're old. We have Medicare. I have some United Health thing, and they give me points because I walk. And so Tammy said, "You got $70. We have to go to CVS and buy stuff." I'm like, "What do they get? What do we buy? Are we buying bandages? I mean, is this for old people? Because I don't feel old." Anyway, we pulled up CVS, and there's a car, and it's got a handicap tag in it, and there's a handicap parking space just right around the corner. If you ever been at CVS, right? So he's right there. But no, he took up 2 places of really good parking for guys like me who are old but not handicapped. I mean, in the physical sense. And I'm like, what is wrong? I was so mad at this guy. I'm like, I gotta, like, it's gonna kill me to walk, the parking lot. But I'm like, what is? So I'm going through the store looking for the guy that would do that, right? And I'm thinking, I started laughing at myself, thinking, I am just Mr. Judgmental. It's amazing how one guy can take up 2 parking places, and all of a sudden my whole morning, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy how fast those things happen. And I guess I just think, man, we've got to get better. I can't let people do that to me, right? I mean, a wrong word said, and all of a sudden, we're just, you lose perspective, and you want to go crazy. I'm probably the only one. So I'm confessing to you, but I'm just saying, little things can get us out of harmony so fast. And I'm like, this year, Lord, I don't want that. Yesterday, was that the 4th yesterday? Yeah. 1 year ago, I was having surgery yesterday on my leg. 4 days in, or 3 days in, I wreck it. And then I had surgery. I'm like, and it threw me for a minute, but it was a good year. 348 days took place before the doctor finally said, okay, you're good, go away. But man, in that journey, it was really good, but it did throw you for a minute, And so I get that life can come at us, but we can't just lay down. Harmony is one of the things that God offers us. Rhythm. He offers that to us in the midst of whatever mess can go on. And so, I started thinking about what creates a lack of harmony besides letting other people get in your head and park in the wrong parking spaces. Sometimes a push for perfection can do that to us, right? I'm pretty OCD when it comes to things, and if I do something, I really want to do it right. But me being a control freak can get me out of harmony in a hurry. I realize that about me. Man, there's certain things, and it just sets me off. When things don't go well, I try to take control, which is not always a great thing. Although I feel like I can do it better than everybody that works with me. So let me just do it. I just give it here, right? But then you're out of harmony. You're mad at everybody else because they can't do the job that they were hired to do, and you're doing it for them and trying to show them how, and they're not even saying thank you, right? Do y'all have these same things that kind of go on? When I'm wrong, I hate that too, right? That will mess my life up. Now you're thinking, well, bro, your life must be always messed up because you always wrong. But there's just something about in the middle of something you realize, oh man, I'm wrong. And then I got to fix that. And I'm thinking, man, this is all of these things, right? It's just like it just forces just this disharmony about things. The comparison game can get me out of whack a lot. I'm looking at other guys, they're retiring. I'm like, what is that even? The thought is that a thought you can have at my age? I know some do, but I'm like, that ain't us. And so, you start thinking about those things. And if we're not careful, this isn't one of mine, but I know a lot of people do. Worry will mess people up. Just worry about whatever. And all of a sudden you're out of harmony, right? And then the other thing, I think, is when we start taking ourselves to everything personal, right? So we think it's all about me, and so then when you did this, I'm mad at you for something you don't even know you did, but you did it, right? And so there's just those things. And so I look at that, and I read this passage, I don't even think, where's he going? I think this whole passage is Paul saying, hey, let's breathe, right? I really think this is what this is going to be about. And so as we're just going to roll through this. It shouldn't take that long. My intro is probably longer than the whole deal. But when we start in chapter 4, here's what I think I may be in the New Living Translation, so if that's messing you up, just look at yours. All right. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stay true to the Lord. I love you, and I long to see you, dear friends, for you are my joy and the crown I receive for my work. Right? Now, what's going on here? We see a therefore. So we always stop and ask what it's there for, right? But he's telling us to do something. Stand firm, right? So if we're going to have balance, we just have to stand firm. We have to as the New Living says, stay true to the Lord, right? This is crucial if we start thinking, hey, Lord, I don't need you right now, I got this, we're going to get out of harmony. And so the context, when he says, therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stay true to the Lord, what he's saying is, or stand firm in the Lord is how yours would say it. We go back to chapter 3. Now, I don't want to necessarily do that for you. I just want you to know this. What's he saying? What did he say in chapter 3? Forgetting what lies behind, we press forward, right? So there's this harmony and balance means I'm not living in my past and all my failures or all my whatever. I'm forgetting that stuff. I realize today's a new day. There's nothing that will realign you like knowing that I don't have to be defined by whatever happened to me yesterday, right? I'm going to deal with it, but I'm moving on. I'm going to stay true to the Lord, right? I may not have yesterday. The whole world may not have today, but I am. I'm going to stand. There's something harmonious about knowing that I'm going to walk with the Lord. He reminded us that our citizenship was in heaven. He reminded us that we should eagerly expect his return, and that we should expect that there would be transformation in us, that God is doing something in us. And so there's this idea, I'm just going to stand. I'm going to stand firm with him. I'm locking arms with him. If you want harmony, I promise you, he doesn't get rattled about life, does he? He doesn't lose self-control. He doesn't, all of those things that we talk about that can happen, he doesn't do that. He stands firm. He's the gentle giant, right? Literally, the gentle giant. He says, I'm meek and lowly, I'm gentle. That's what he says he is, right? He defines himself that way, meaning that I have strength under control. And so if he does, then so do we, because we stand with him. And so to me, this is powerful when he says, therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stay true to the Lord. And Paul, I love the encouragement Paul gives. And I love you and I long to see you, dear friends. For you are my joy and my crown I receive for my work. You know, I think Paul went on to say this, not in this book, but in one of the others. Having done all, stand, right? When you've done everything you got, stand. And so I'm going to stand with him. One of the things we talked about the other night, I have all these phrases, and they were making fun of me about all these phrases I've said over the years in teaching. You know, God don't help ain't coming, and all of those things. We can hold hands and worry, all of those things. But the news, I was sharing with them, I said, man, I got this new thing, though. It's like we know things. And I have this real artsy friend, and she just resonates with verbiage, and she writes music and all that. She was there, Tracy. And she started talking about that. So we went around the room and just started around the dinner table talking about what we know, right? To me, that's what it means to stand firm, right? Hey, this 2025 could turn out terrible for some of us, worse than 2024 if some of us feel that's possible, right? But it could be better. We don't know. But what we do know is that whatever comes our way, he's able, right? He is able, right? We know that. Whatever we did that this year that's going to be stupid, here's what we do know. He's forgiven. He's gracious. He's merciful, right? I also know this, that whatever happens in my life that's a deficit to asset, remember we talk about this all the time, all things work together for good to those who love God and called according to his purpose, right? So we know these things. We know things. And so when we talk about standing firm in him, the greatest thing to create harmony in our life is when we just breathe and go, yeah, but I know things, right? And so if there's something that we're going to do this year, I hope it's that. I hope that we come to the realization that we know things and that we're going to stand firm in him because we know, really, all other ground, according to the old hymn, is sinking sand, right? And so I'm standing with him. And so this is what he's saying. Hey, stand firm in him. And so it makes sense to me. And so I want us to have this mindset throughout the year when whatever comes. Because we know that good is coming. We know that bad is coming. We know that those things, because it's life, right? That's why James says, consider it all joy, my brethren, when, not if you encounter various trials. Because they're coming, right? We live life, it's going to happen. Job knew that. Lord gives, Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Shall we take the good, not the bad, right? All those things. We know. We know those things. And so when whatever's coming down the road, if you have one of those days where some guy takes 2 parking places, breathe. Just breathe. Yeah, I know things, right? I know things. I know God's working in my life. And so that's a crucial thing. Then he comes to 2. This passage has always struck me as I read it, but he says this, now I appeal to Euodia and Syntyche. Please, because you belong to the Lord, settle your disagreement. Right? And I don't know how yours reads now, but he says, listen, I urge Euodia and Syntyche to get along, right? And so I'm thinking, man, how would you like it if in the Bible for ages it had something to do with it? Now, if Randy would just love Tammy better, right? I mean, and it's in the Word, so everybody knows that's going on. But here's what I find in this, man. If I want harmony, I should choose to get along, right? That's what he's telling them to do. Please, because you belong to the Lord, settle your disagreement. Get along. Figure it out. And so I think, man, this is really good. We always have a choice, right, to get along. I had a professor years ago. I was so mad when he said it. But he was saying that no one makes you mad. You choose to be mad. And I thought, you have not met my friends. But I realized he is right, right? Look, I can't control a lot of things. I can't control what other people do, but I can control how I respond to what other people do. And this whole thing here is about choose to get along. And so I just think, man, this is really good for harmony. Because I'm telling you, when you don't choose to do that and you want to make people pay, you're out of balance. And you know what that feels like. You're mad and you can't control it, and every time you see them, or somebody bring their name up, you want to track. It's all of a sudden like you just get some ugly got kicked in your life, and all of a sudden you're just vomiting on everybody. And he's like, listen, I'm urging you, get along. Just choose it. Life's not always about you. You and me need to learn that lesson, right? Just let it go. Frozen? We can sing the Frozen song here. Just let it go. Anyway, choose not to be offended, right? Listen to what he says. Oh, wait, he doesn't say it here? Name's written in the book of life. Oh, yeah, down here in verse, I'm skipping ahead, but he says, your name is written in the book of life. Let's read it. Oh, and I ask you, my true partner, to help these women, for they worked hard with me in telling others the good news. They worked along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers whose names are written in the book of life. He's like, listen, you want harmony? Because here's the worst thing. You got friends who are not in harmony with each other. They're gonna make you choose. And like, no, he's saying, don't. Work with them. That's what he just said. I ask you, my true partner, to help these two women, for they worked hard with me. Like, come on. Not just you get along, but help others get along too. Just make that happen. Man, I had a couple of guys I brought in the office back earlier in the year. I may have shared this with you or not, but there was a little riff going on. I'm like, this is just silly. So I bring them in and we're just talking. And it was good. They needed to talk and they needed to listen to each other, and I kind of moderate that. Well, one of them passed away this year, and it was sad, when it happened. And the other one that came to me the week that we found out he had passed away, and said, man, I'm so glad that you made me get with him and sit down and have this conversation. Because he said, I felt like I was all right, but it was good. He needed that, and I guess I just needed to hear and apologize. And he said, man, I don't think I'd be able to handle this without that, right? And you think, and that's true, right? Because we never know when that lasts. We don't know. I had a childhood friend pass away New Year's Eve. He's young. I mean, he's like my age. That's young. And left a wife and kids, and, you never know. And so, listen, let's just get along. And he says this, because listen, our names are written in the book of life. I mean, it's sad when non-Christians can't get along. But if believers can't get along, come on, we're all going to the same place. Can we just get along? And so this is what he's saying here to them. And then he says this in verse 4. Always be joyful or full of joy in the Lord. I'm going to say it again. Rejoice. Let everyone see that you are considerate in all you do. Remember, the Lord is coming soon. And so we find here not just the choose to get along, but he's going, hey, and I want you to find joy in God. Right? I want you to stand with Jesus. I want you to choose to get along, and I want you to find joy in God. This is the whole. I'm telling you, this is really good stuff we talk about harmony, right? There's joy in not in stuff. There's joy in not necessarily in our circumstances, but there's joy in God in the midst of all that, right? That's one of those things we know, right? I remember when Tammy and I hit, a real roadblock in a church and looked like everything we'd built for 15 years was about to fall apart. And there was accusations flying everywhere. I remember her looking at me and said, "Hey, they can't steal our joy." Man, did I ever need a wife like that. She was right. She was right. You can do a lot of things, but you can't steal the joy because that joy doesn't come from you or any of my circumstances. It strictly comes from the Lord. In the midst of my mess, I can be joyful, right? And so can you. It's about perspective. That's why this harmony thing matters, because losing perspective will steal that joy and that harmony. And so, uh, we know what Nehemiah has to say, right? The joy of the Lord is my strength. We sing that a lot, or we say it a lot. The joy of the Lord is my strength. And so we just come back to that and go, I'm going to rejoice in the Lord. This is what he's saying. Hey, listen, always be full of joy in the Lord. Just be full of it. I got a friend of mine who's a truck driver, part-time for us. He'd rather be hunting. So he only will work if it's not hunting and I need him really bad. We call him Leg, which is a weird name, but that's what he's called. But when that man walks onto our property, you are gonna smile. You're just going. You can't help it. He's an old redneck. He'll wear his overalls. He looks like he just walked out of Mountain Man magazine or something. Country as they come. But you're going to laugh. You're going to find joy because he ain't going to shut up talking about Jesus. He is just not going to do it. And it's just amazing to me to have that kind of a deal. But if you knew his story, it's funny, isn't it? Those who really went the deepest into the world and came out of it have a whole different perspective than a lot of us who kind of grew up in a very moral fabric of society. And we did wrong, but it was sanitized. But man, I'm just telling you, there's this incredible joy in his life, and this is what he's saying, man. There's good. Leg never has a bad day. I've been around him enough to know he ain't lying, because he'll tell you a story and he's still laughing about stuff. We ate some lunch the other day together, and it's just crazy because he's a Jesus guy. And I'm telling you, this is making a difference. And then verse 5, he says this: let everyone see that you are considerate in all you do. Remember, the Lord is coming soon. I love how he always reminds us of that. Daddy's coming home kind of thing, right? But he's saying, hey, listen, I want you to be, yours says gentle, I think, right? Let everyone be considerate. I think gentle is the word that's used there. It's a word, and the word is a twofold. One, in some translations of it, in other passages, it simply means this: be reasonable. That's a great way to call that. Gentle means being reasonable. It also means strength under control, right? Because that's unreasonable is someone who's let go of their discipline, their self-control, and they're just all over the place. And so he's saying, hey, listen, I want you to be gentle. And so I think about this too. I think, man, how many things can we get worked up over instead of just saying, look, I could go off on you right now. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to breathe, right? This is where he's saying. So it's like, hey, just get a grip, right? Don't be carried away with obsessions that are unimportant. It's amazing how many things we can fight about that aren't really that important, right? But we can go there. And so he's just saying, I want you to be gentle, man. Remember, the Lord's coming soon. He also says the Lord is near, and I think that's another reminder, right? It's twofold here. We could pull two out of that one, that the Lord is near. Hey, that's all you need to know. The Lord's coming back. And when I sold clothes at Webster Menswear, I had 3 stores I was responsible for: Central Plaza, Brookwood Village, and McFarland Mall in Tuscaloosa. And so I was the area manager, taking care of all that stuff as a young kid. I had this Iranian boss, Q. Dakshani. I don't even know if he's still living. But he would show up, never announced. But we would all try and figure out where he was. This is where you had cell phones. You couldn't track anybody. He was somewhere in the southeast. But if we ever got tipped off that he was coming, man, I made sure you could put 2 fingers between every coat hanger. All my guys didn't have their coat off. It was on. All the chrome was shined. It was spot on. And you'd see Q walk around standing far on the other side of the mall as he could, looking into your window like we didn't know he was there. So we're all acting like he's not, but we knew, right? We looked a whole lot better because we knew he was coming than when he showed up and we didn't. Now that's to my shame as a manager, but I'm just telling you as a young kid that. But here's it's like, hey, he's coming, right? And so I think that's a good reminder that hey, the Lord's coming back. I don't want the Lord to catch me in some kind of mess when he comes back. Not that he's not going to be gracious. I just don't want to dishonor him that way, right? And so it's just this is that other reminder. And then we hit the last one. And we may come back to this next week. I don't know, but it's because it's powerful. Verse 6 and 7. He says this. Come on, it's not working. There it is. I'm going to read it in this one, and then we'll talk about it. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need. Thank him for all he's done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and your minds as you live in Christ Jesus. And I look at that and I think, man, you talk about harmony. Harmony happens when we don't let worry just make us crazy, right? Don't worry, but pray, right? And we know that. Worry's a killer. It steals everything, doesn't it? It steals harmony, steals joy. All of that it does. And so here's what he says in this, and you can see it in your own. He uses several different words for how we pray. The first one is that we get along with God and we worship him. That pray literally means adoration, right? We just start and stop to think about who he is. One of the things that I learned years ago on the Lord's Prayer is the Lord gave me an understanding of asking that in a series of questions. You know, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So that's the phrase. Hallowed is very similar to what we're talking about here. And so I asked myself the question, who is it that you seek kind of thing, right? Who am I talking to? And so I would spend the first section of my time praying, just thanking God for who he is. God, I know you're holy. You're righteous. You are sovereign. You are good. Right? And you just begin to do that. And he's saying, hey, listen, you want harmony in your life? Remember God in that fashion. And the second thing is, he says, now I want you to just plead your stuff. Once you've done that, pray about everything. Tell God what you need, right? Lay out your hopes, your fears, your desires, right? Hey, listen, he's not Santa Claus. He's not going to give us everything we want. He's going to give us all we need, right? He promised to meet every need we have. So what are we going to do? We're going to lay out our hopes and our fears and our desires, and we're just going to, there's something that when you begin to express yourself and be able to share those things, there's something that works deep down in your life when it comes to that. And then the third one is he says, hey, and I want you to give thanks to God too. I want you to list them out, to give thanks to God, right? Hey, let's just be thankful for who he is and what he's done for us and all of that. And then the last one, that peace of God comes. Your heart and your mind. I love that. Because really, heart, hey, that's where we feel. God's going to rearrange my feelings when that happens. When I begin to say, God, this is who you are. This is what I need. Man, I'm so grateful for all these things that you've done already. That's reminds me of that song, Count Your Many Blessings, right? And then we get to this one, and he says, and the peace of God, which surpasses all that you can imagine, will guard your heart and your soul, right? Heart and mind. What I feel and what I think. He's going to fix both. When I start praying to him, he will do surgery on my heart and on my mind. And my heart will have a better attitude, and my mind will be sharper when it comes to what's right and what's wrong and all of those things. And it comes back to what we talked about. We know things, right? That's where we are. We know things. And so, man, that's the message today. Man, I love that. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to kind of share that with you guys today. We're going to sing our way out. It's an old school song. We'll sing our way out with this one.